Hello again, I am back with another video in my series on owning rabbits. Maybe you watched my last video and you feel that you have the time, patience, energy, and resources and want to bring a bun into your home. I'm here to fill you in on the top 5 things that I feel are most important to know before you decide to go out and get a rabbit for your home. Like I said in my previous video, rabbits are not low maintenance pets, and while I wouldn't want to put anyone off from the potential of having a beautiful, loving relationship with these creatures, there are some things that you should be aware of before you make that final decision. I have seen firsthand, obviously, how tricky they can be and how vitally important it is to do your research before getting a rabbit. With that said, let's jump into my top 5 things that you should know before getting a rabbit. First things first, like I said in my previous video, rabbits are social creatures. If you are considering or thinking about getting a rabbit, you should really consider getting a bonded pair. Which actually, let me throw in a little aside here. Bonding rabbits is a whole entire issue in and of itself, and I don't have enough time to address that here in this video without it being like an hour long. So if that's something you guys are interested in, let me know and I can do a whole video on that. On the subject of loneliness in rabbits, boredom and depression are the 2 most common symptoms, and they manifest themselves as rabbits either on one hand getting very hyperactive and destructive, chewing on things they aren't supposed to, digging and destroying things they aren't supposed to, or on the other hand, the rabbit will become very withdrawn, very antisocial, and just generally hiding away from people and their surroundings. Depression can lead to sickness and ultimately death if it is not addressed. I actually started out with one rabbit myself because I didn't know of their need for companionship and their need to have that interaction with others of their kind. Luckily, however, my rabbit never suffered from depression because I have the luxury of working from home, and so once we got him, he was with me 24/7. His area where he free roams is also where my desk is, where I work from, so he was constantly with me, constantly being interacted with, and then at night when we would put him to bed, his cage, his sleep area, was where I slept as well, so he was always around people and being interacted with, so he never actually suffered from the depression and loneliness that can come from being a solo rabbit. That being said, now that we have my second rabbit, I see a noticeable difference in him, positive changes in his behavior. He is obsessed with his big sister, and it's so cute and funny to see him interact with her and just really enjoy having another rabbit in our house. I know most people don't have the luxury to be able to work from home and be attentive to their rabbit 24/7, and so if you're considering getting a rabbit but you have a full-time job, or you're a full-time student also with a part-time job and you're just not home all that often, you should really think about if it's fair to the rabbit to bring them into a situation in which they'll be isolated and lonely for most of the time. Back to the bonding topic, rabbit relationships are extremely complex and tricky, and so you really need to think about if you have the time to put into bonding 2 rabbits together, as you cannot just bring any 2 rabbits and have the relationship work out. Like I said, bonding is a very complex topic, something I can't really get into here, but just know it is tricky and you can't bring any random 2 rabbits together and just think that they'll be fine. That being said, the best ideal option or circumstance is to adopt a already bonded pair. Thing number 2 to know is that rabbits are messy, or that they can be messy. They love to dig, they love to chew, and they need access to fresh hay 24/7. So if you're someone that has hay fever or allergies to grass and that type of thing, a rabbit is probably not the best pet for you. Their living area will require almost daily, if not daily, cleaning to keep the hay managed, to keep everything, reasonable in terms of the mess factor. Every rabbit is different, of course. I myself have a very active digger. My small bun that I showed in my last video, Mr. Chew, he is the digger of the household, and his favorite activity in the whole wide world, I'll insert a clip here so you can see what I'm talking about, is to go into the litter box and proceed to dig out all of the dirty litter, the poops, the dirty hay, onto the floor of their cage, and then jump out of the potty and push it around to where he likes it. Because of this, I have to deep clean their cage area every other day with what I call a spot clean in between, where I'll go in and pick up what he's dug out, put it back in the potty, for him to then dig out again, where the deep clean days, I'll take all the blankets out that you see here. They're like soft towels and fleece blankets. Since they don't have pads on their feet, they need soft surfaces to sit on. I'll take all those out, shake them out, put them up, wipe down if they had any accidents, which actually doesn't happen all that often. They're pretty well potty trained at this point. But I'll wipe all that down, shake everything out, vacuum. And that's another thing I should mention. You can't obviously just take a vacuum to big, long strands of hay unless you want to ruin your vacuum. So before you vacuum, you have to go in on your hands and knees and pick up all the stray pieces of hay, put them in a trash bag, and then you can proceed to vacuum without ruining your vacuum. How many times did I just say vacuum? Okay, next up in terms of rabbits' messiness, and I'm going to insert a little warning here. I am about to talk a lot about poop, so you have been warned. So, rabbits poop a lot. A lot. They actually produce two types of poop, one of which they eat directly straight out of their bums and is not something you're likely to see as long as they have a healthy digestive system. Now, most of the time, the poops that you will see are their everyday poops. They produce about 200 to 300 of these poops every day. And I'm not exaggerating, 200 to 300 of these poops every single day. So I've got a little baggie here to show you what I'm talking about. This is a moo poop. See, it's a little bit bigger. And this is a chew poop. These are hard poops. They do not smell. They are not wet. And in fact, most of the time, outside of this video, I'll touch them with my bare hands. It doesn't bother me at all.
Oh, that's nasty.
Maybe I'm weird, I don't know, but it doesn't bother me. Like I said, they do not smell. They are not wet. They don't stick anywhere. They're just hard, little, dry, almost Cocoa Puff type looking poops. And these are what you want to be aware of at all times. Now, rabbits can be potty trained, as both of mine are, but you know, at the end of the day, when you're producing 200 to 300 poops, they're gonna get places. Sometimes it'll get stuck to their fur and they'll be hopping around and it'll fall off elsewhere. Or since they're so perfectly round as you saw, they will roll places when the rabbit hops out of the litter box. Or maybe you will be as lucky as I am and have a rabbit that loves to dig and send round spherical poops flying across my living room. As a rabbit owner, you should be aware that you are going to be very accustomed to inspecting and getting excited about the poop of your rabbit. The amount and size and consistency of the poops of your rabbit is a very good indicator of how they are doing health-wise. And so every day you should check for first the presence, obviously, of poops, their consistency, and their amount. Okay, outside of the poop topic, rabbits themselves, like as creatures, are actually very clean and they don't smell. They groom themselves similar to how a cat does. They're very good about it. They don't ever need baths, and in fact, it's very important to know that you should never, ever, 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 ever put a rabbit in water. There is a very tiny and specific exception to this rule, and it's not something I'm gonna touch upon in this video, but just know that as a rule, generally you should never put a rabbit in water, especially submerging them in water. It's just don't do it. So while rabbits do groom themselves, they also shed, which is another factor into the mess situation that you should be aware of before adopting one. Unlike cats who can cough up hairballs, rabbits cannot. So if they ingest too much fur from a shed grooming themselves, it can get stuck in their digestive system and they can die very quickly. That being said, grooming is very, very important for rabbit care, especially if you have a long hair rabbit like mine, my French Angora. She needs daily grooming. And so there you have it. While the literal rabbit themselves, they're not smelly or messy outside of the hair from shedding, their activities and the daily behaviors that they participate in are and will be messy, something you have to think about if you are thinking of bringing a rabbit into your home. What are you doing, bud? So I've had some friends join me. The third thing that you need to consider before getting a rabbit, and I really touched upon this in my last video, is that they require a strict and specific diet. All right. Love you. And there's the floof that I'm talking about. I don't know if you can see it, but holy is it everywhere. Ugh. Where was I? Oh yes, diet. As I stressed in my last video, diet is extremely important to a rabbit. They cannot throw up. So if they eat something that they are not supposed to, or if they eat something that, say, causes them gas, it can be very, very dangerous for them. I'm actually going to link below a really great resource from the House Rabbit Society. It's a list of rabbit-friendly vegetables. It splits them into categories based on their nutrition and how much of each group you should give to your rabbit every day. It's awesome. So if you're interested, check it out. It'll be in the description below. Rabbits can get sick very, very quickly and very, very easily. Also, as prey animals, they tend to hide their symptoms of illness very well because in the wild, they don't want a predator to know that they're a weak one or they're one that is sick and easier to be preyed upon. That being said, as the owner, you really need to be hyper aware of what signs and symptoms to look for to know that your rabbit is sick and unwell. One of the most common and dangerous illnesses for rabbits to have is what is known as gastrointestinal stasis, or GI stasis for short. This is when they get gas in their tummies or they eat something they're not supposed to, and it blocks up the flow of their digestive system and they stop pooping. A lot of the times they'll stop eating as well, and this can actually kill them within hours. That is why it's so important to know the normal consistency, size, and routine, I guess, of how your rabbits use the bathroom, because one of the first things you'll notice is that they stop pooping. If your rabbit has not pooped in 10, maximum 12 hours, they need to see a vet immediately. This perfectly transitions me into my next point, and that is that rabbits need special veterinary care. Again, I touched upon this in my first video, but rabbits are considered exotic pets, and so you cannot take them to any vet down the road. They need a rabbit-savvy vet that knows all the special care and requirements that they need. Since rabbits are considered exotic pets and they require such specialized care, their vet bills reflect that, and you will be paying more than you would for a cat or a dog. So that is also something to take into consideration before deciding to adopt a pet rabbit. Having a rabbit-savvy vet nearby is very important because, like I said, they get sick very quickly and very easily. And so you want someone close by that you can take your rabbit to in case of any emergency. My last thing is something that I don't think a lot of people think about when they get a pet, especially a rabbit, and that is boarding and or rabbit sitting. Hold on, there's an airplane going by. Okay, I don't know if you can still hear that airplane, but anyways, back to my last point about rabbit sitting or rabbit boarding, and that is that rabbits cannot be left alone for extended periods of time. So if you need to go away for a business trip, you want to take a weekend vacation, your rabbits will need to be watched. That being said, obviously, if you've paid attention to anything I've said, it's not as easy as, asking your buddy or your friend from work to come over and let your dog out to pee or take him for a walk, or come over and feed your cat and just check on them. Your rabbits will need someone in the house while you're gone for the entire time of your vacation or business trip, whatever it may be. You want someone that knows about rabbits, understands them, and can be aware of the signs and symptoms of illnesses or anything that may come up while you're gone. If you don't know someone who's able to do that, rabbit boarding is a thing and it is available. However, again, you need to make sure that either it's a specific boarding place for rabbits or the boarder has had extensive experience with rabbits and understands their needs and requirements and can act accordingly. And so there you have it. Those are my top 5 things that I feel everyone should know before deciding on adopting a rabbit. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not trying to deter anyone from adopting and forming a beautiful relationship with these creatures. I just know firsthand how tricky they can be, and I know that there are many people who don't understand them and adopt them and then end up having to return them to the shelters because they obviously took on more than they could handle. Rabbits are amazing. If you feel that you're ready and knowledgeable enough to adopt a rabbit, by all means, I cheer you on. If you have any questions or comments or requests for future videos, leave them below and I will do my best to answer you. Outside of that, I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you guys next time. Bye!